Cinderella Skeleton. Cinderella Skeleton dwelt in Boneyard Acres near the wood. Third mausoleum on the right. Decayed, decrepit, what a fright! On the door, a withered wreath invited guests to rest in peace. It was the pride of the neighborhood. Cinderella Skeleton was everything a ghoul should be. Her build was long and lean and lank. Her dankish hair hung down in hanks. Her nails were yellow, her teeth were green. The ghastliest haunt you've ever seen. Foulest in the land she was. Cinderella's skeleton stepsister treated her with scorn. Grisline was small and mean, and firmly packed with spite and spleen. Tall bony Jane, a scatterbrain, was just as vile and twice as vain. They worked Cinderella from dusk till morn. Cinderella Skeleton, it seemed her tasks were never done. She hung up cobwebs every place, arranged dead flowers in a vase, littered the floor with dust and leaves, fed the bats beneath the eaves. She had no time for rest or fun. Cinderella Skeleton's stepsisters dressed in fancy clothes, but she had only hand-me-downs, the others torn and tattered gowns. Her shoes had worn out tops and soles. In fact, they were so full of holes they showed off all her bony toes. Cinderella Skeleton asked for help with household chores, but stepmother Screech began to shout, "You're lucky I don't throw you out. My girls are gems, you're common clay. How dare you even think that they should streak the windows or strewn the floors?" Cinderella Skeleton, more disappointment lay ahead. Prince Charles summoned one and all to his frightfully famous Halloween ball. When Cinderella begged to go, her stepmother sneered and told her, "No, you'll stay at home and work instead." Cinderella Skeleton watched the others leave in a hearse. Screech in mournful bombazine, her girls in mildew green sateen. Then Cinderella made this vow, "I'll get to the prince's ball somehow. I'm taking action for better or worse." Cinderella Skeleton, off she marched without delay to the good witch in the wood beyond, who cast kind spells on with a generous wand. The witch heard Cinderella's plea, then nodded, saying, "Bring to me some things I need, and right away." Cinderella Skeleton located what the witch required: a jack-o'-lantern, fiery-eyed, 6 rats, a trap held locked inside, 2 bats asleep in wings wrapped tight, a cat as black as moonless night. Exactly as the witch desired. Cinderella Skeleton saw witch touch wand, tip-tap to all. The pumpkin turned to funeral wagon, the rats to nightmares, part horse, part dragon, the bats to footmen at the ready, the cat to driver holding steady, the steeds who'd speed her to the ball. "Cinderella Skeleton," the witch exclaimed, "you need new clothes." Her wand flashed magic to replace Cinderella's rags with a gown of lace, trimmed in silky ribbons and bows, while each worn shoe that showed her toes became a slipper with a satin rose. Cinderella Skeleton was eager to be on her way, but the good witch said, "Before you go, there's one important thing to know. You must return before the morning. If you fail to heed my warning, your joy will fade at the break of day." Cinderella Skeleton reached the ball and caused a stir. The guests all turned to stare at where she stood at the top of the palace stair. As she swept down, she heard the buzz of everyone wondering who she was. Then Prince Colonel bowed to her. "Cinderella Skeleton," heard Colonel say, "your beauty burns like bonfires ablaze at night. Your brightness fills me with delight. Dance with me, lady, I implore." She smiled. He led her to the floor, where they waltzed with graceful dips and turns. Cinderella Skeleton gazed into Colonel's eyes, was so in love she was unaware of each hateful murmur and baleful glare. That Screech, Bony Jane, and Grisline aimed at the lovers' tender scene. She danced till dawn first lit the sky. Cinderella Skeleton recalled too late the witch's warning. She broke from Colonel's dear embrace and hurried to escape the place. Colonel cried, "You're my answered prayer," but Cinderella fled down the stair, distressed how near it was to morning. Cinderella Skeleton, her haste, as haste will, brought mishap. As she ran for her waiting carriage, pursuing Prince out shouting offers of marriage, she stumbled once, giving Colonel time to grab her foot and cry, "You're mine!" Then off her foot came with a snap. Cinderella Skeleton ignored the thump of her footless stump, reaching her coach, and cried, "Away! I must be home by break of day." They raced pell-mell past the palace gate. The prince kept pleading, "Lady, wait!" In his hand a foot, in his throat a lump. Cinderella Skeleton, though near dawn, her nightmares sped, but morning caught them in mid-flight. Coach shrank to pumpkin in the light. Cat, rats, and bat skitter flittered away. Ragged and limping, she faced the day, her heart still full, though the magic had fled. Cinderella Skeleton, her life grew day by day more grim. Her family worked her without rest. They knew Prince Carnal's mystery guest. She dredged but halfway through some chores. She dreamed she was on the dance floor as Carnal asked her to waltz with him. Cinderella Skeleton! Her image filled the prince's mind. His days and nights turned to a blur, whirling round memories of her. So lovelorn Carnal vowed, "I'll start a search for the one who stole my heart. She must be somewhere I can find. Cinderella Skeleton, until I find you, I will not rest," vowed Carnal, who traveled every place with her slippered foot in a velvet case. But no one, Duchess, Milkmaid, Crone, could match foot bone to ankle bone. Each snapped a foot off for the test. Cinderella Skeleton, locked up when Colonel came to call. Screech pulled her girl's feet off 1, 2, saying, "Wire or glue, you're good as new. Surely it's worth this slight distress for the chance to be a true princess. Now hurry, the prince is in the hall." Cinderella Skeleton picked the lock with a longish pin. She heard Colonel's voice, his gentle tones, drowned by her stepsister's wails and moans. Bony Jane's ankle was too large and thick, and Grisline's thin as a withered stick. Then Cinderella came limping in. Cinderella Skeleton, while everybody stared wide-eyed. She bowed to Colonel with this request, "Please let me take your marriage test." Her footbone snapped on and held fast. Colonel shouted, "A match at last! Here is my promised princess bride, Cinderella Skeleton, the rarest gem the world had seen. Your gleaming skull and burnished bones, your teeth like polished kidney stones, your dampish silks and dankish hair. There's nothing like you anywhere. You make each day Halloween." Cinderella Skeleton soon was married to her prince, and they stayed happy ever after. Their kingdom filled with love and laughter. Screech, Grisline, and Bony Jane just shriveled with envy and shrank to dust, and no one's seen or missed them since.